Assalamu alaikum. I'm really excited about this new series where what I do is I look at modern philosophy and then compare it to Islam, meaning what I understand, obviously, of Islamic values and Islamic beliefs. And today I chose to start with a very important part of modern philosophy, which is existentialism. Now, obviously, existentialism comes in different flavors. So we have the religious existentialism, such that from Kierkegaard, but we also have the not so religious existentialism, that of Nietzsche and Jean-Paul Sartre and other people. Obviously, there are many things to discuss, but I thought today I would start with a really important topic, which is the topic of free will and the freedoms or the degrees of freedoms that we people possess. So what I did, I actually picked this copy of Nietzsche's work, and it's called The Portable Nietzsche by Walter Kaufmann. So it has snippets, if you will, of different work from Nietzsche, but it has the majority, if not all, of Thus Spoke Zarathustra, the book I'm going to quote today. And specifically, and I think the concept of free will and the degrees of freedom that we humans possess is best captured by one of the early chapters, maybe the first chapter, if I'm not mistaken, after the prologue, where Nietzsche talks about 3 levels of metamorphosis or 3 levels of transformation. So basically, these are three degrees of freedom available to us humans. All right, and he gives like 3 analogies. So the first level is the like of a camel. So a camel basically obliges to duty. It carries the load it's given, no questions asked. All right. And then the second level is that of a lion. So the lion does not oblige to duty, and he's able to create some freedom, but it cannot create values. And then the last stage is that of a child, and the child has total freedom, and it's able to create its own value system. So maybe I'll quote what is relevant here quickly. So for the first stage, that of a camel, basically what really captures the camel here is that it kneels down like a camel, he said, wanting to be well loaded. So the camel wants to be loaded, and it asks for duty, and it obliges by duty, and it kneels down, another symbol of obedience, right? And the will to follow someone's value or some value system. Now, if we go to the we transform the first time from a camel to a lion. We go to the second stage, that of a lion. I think the maybe the one sentence that captures it all is that it says, and there's a no sacred, or it says a sacred no even to duty. All right. So this is a lion. He said the creation of freedom for oneself. That's one aspect, one quality, and a sacred no even to duty. All right. And then the final stage, so that is the second transformation from a lion to a child. Basically, the child is totally free. And it says here, the spirit now wills his own will. So the spirit now wills his own will. Okay, great. So we see here, like I said, 3 stages, maybe two transformations, we could say. One from a camel to a lion. So the camel is totally, fully obedient to something, to some value system. And then the lion breaks away from that duty. He's not duty bound anymore, and he's able to create some freedom for itself, but it's not totally free yet. And then you make the second transformation from a lion to a child, and here now You are able to create your own value system. Now, this is something you see a lot in the philosophy of Nietzsche. The fact that ultimately, the Superman or the Uberman is able to create his own value system, that the existing or the old value system is no longer good or sufficient for the modern human, that we have to create our own value system. And obviously, there are some criticisms of this, or some critiques, if you will. One of them is that this kind has not been tested yet. This kind of freedom, where you create your own value, has not been tested because you need a lot of time to test this. Also, another criticism is the fact that it could lead into nihilism and being totally lost and confused. Now, how does it fare with the Islamic belief? And especially when it comes to free will. If I look at it, I would say that Islam connects or speaks to the three levels of freedom, but in different ways. There's no doubt that in Islam, we have a set of duties that we have to answer to. So we have certain obligations, we have responsibilities, and we cannot break away from those. Whether those responsibilities or obligations are toward God, or toward other humans, or toward ourselves. So we have obviously duties that we're bound by, that we don't create, we don't make on our own. They are divine and they are revealed by God. Now, that does not mean that we cannot make any transformation to a second or third level. And here is how. We need to break away, for example, from the obligations set to us by religious institutions. A lot of times what happens, we are bound by certain duties that are not legislated or even mentioned by God. They're not mentioned in the scripture, and basically they're given to us by religious leaders. So those religious leaders could be imams, sheikhs, scholars, muftis, etc. And I believe we have a duty to break away from such shackles, from those shackles. So there is a degree of freedom here where you're able to get away from certain duties that are not, divine, and they're not coming from the divine. But there is also an opportunity to also go to the third level. And that, I think, connects to the concept of ijtihad in Islam. Because see, in Islam, not every value is necessarily mentioned in the scripture. Not every thing you can do or you wish to do or you have an ambition to do is necessarily mentioned, right? So you have a certain degree of freedom. In fact, this is a God-given freedom that you are able also, through the concept or through the method or through the system of ijtihad, you can come up also with certain values that may not have existed at the time. Or maybe it's a subset of values. So you're not necessarily creating the basics, right? The basics are always there. Like, you're honest, you tell the truth, you don't cheat, you don't fornicate, all those exist there. But obviously you can come up with a certain subset. And a good example of that is given by the hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him, where he said, من سن في الإسلام سنة حسنة فله أجرها وأجر من عمل بها إلى يوم القيامة. If you come up with a new practice, a new sunnah means a new path that people can follow, a new path of good, a new cause, right? Then not only you are rewarded, but you are rewarded for your action and the action of all the people who follow you. So I believe this is a degree of freedom given to us in Islam, where we get to innovate and come up with new methods to improve our lives and to live better lives and to, enjoy, a good set of qualities and to benefit others as well. So it's not just limited to us, but to also benefit others. So here you have an unlimited, in a way, right? You have an unlimited amount of freedom. And I think this is maybe the best way to reconcile or rectify, not that we have to, but I feel here that there is definitely a connection, and there is definitely, there's no reason to create an unnecessary contradiction. And obviously, we don't mean the way Nietzsche meant it, because obviously he meant a total demolition of all the existing values. So obviously we don't agree there. But it's important that we identify the areas of agreements and the areas of disagreements, and not just either totally adopt it or totally shun it away and just dump it. I hope this was beneficial, and this is just the first attempt, and I hope I improve and get better as I do more of these. But I think it's really, really important an exercise to start thinking about modern philosophy, and because I see a lot of times we are still, as in the Muslim circles, we're still discussing very, very old philosophies, those of Aristotle and Plato and Socrates. And we're way, way, way beyond that. We should definitely update our software and see how we fare and how we compare to modern philosophies. Thank you very much, and assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.